Naila, why is English language important to learn?
This is because English language is an international language and is widely followed and understood by people across the world.
I want to learn this language.
To learn every language, there are some skills to develop. Follow this class to learn these skills.
Viewers of MTA Africa, we welcome you to our program English Language for Junior High School. It is another exciting period to have another set of lessons in English. Our lessons shall be on Introduction to Literature. Class, you are welcome to the program.
Thank you, sir.
We haven't had lessons in literature before. The previous lessons we've been looking at have been on other areas of English. So we say English language at the junior high school level is made of the following. We have the grammar aspect. We've had some topics on grammar. Then reading, we have the reading aloud and then reading comprehension. We also have the silent reading as well. And we have writing. Then we have listening skills as part of the lessons we should develop in English. Then literature. And then we also have the library work. These areas form the various aspects of English language we have within the junior high school. We have so far discussed the following. We have looked at topics in grammar. Under grammar, we have looked at the various tenses we have in grammar. And then we've also looked at the sentence structure in grammar. Then under reading, we have discussed reading comprehension. We looked at how to read a particular text and the best way to understand the text. And if it is a reading comprehension passage you are handling an examination, how to go by that. We've discussed that one in this series of lessons. Writing too, we've looked at the process involved in writing, the various skills you need to know about writing. And then we discussed the letters. We looked at the formal letters and then the informal letters as well. But we haven't discussed the following areas. No topic has been discussed under the following. We have not done anything under literature at all in this set of our lessons on MTA. We've also not discussed anything under listening. And then we also haven't done anything under library work. But what we are going to do for now, for our next set of 12 lessons, we shall be having 12 set of lessons. What we shall be looking at now is going to be introduction to literature. So we are going to introduce ourselves to literature. And if time permits, we will pick one of the items we are supposed to study in schools under junior high school. Then we look at that text very well and discuss it into details. We said there are some few questions, that is to remind us, those of us in class and at home, because the term literature is not new to all of us. We've heard of it in schools, and having been part of the JHS for some days or years, you should have been able to have an idea of what literature is all about. So my first question, when the term literature is mentioned, what comes to mind? I'll take response from you. When we say literature, what comes to your mind, first of all? Yes. Your name, please.
My name is Munira.
Munira
Chumwa.
Okay. Yes. When we say literature, what comes to mind? Yes.
Literature is anything written or spoken.
Speak up, please.
Literature is anything written or spoken.
Okay. So anything you write or you speak it is literature. Okay. Can you give me examples?
Oral literature.
Oral literature. No, example of what is termed literature. You say anything we write or we speak is literature. So example of any action or any activity that is literature.
Maybe cleaning.
Cleaning. Is it cleaning as a word or cleaning as an action being performed?
Cleaning as a word.
Cleaning as a word. Good. Yes. Your name, please.
To Muiz Mahadugu.
Speak up, please.
I'm to Muiz Mahadugu.
Muiz Mahadugu. Okay. I'm to Muiz Mahadugu. Okay, fine. So what is literature? What do you know about it?
It's anything written or spoken by
Just
us.
as hers. Anything written or
Spoken.
spoken. Any example of something that you consider to be literature?
Drama.
Drama. What is it? Is it drama as in someone drumming?
No.
Yes,
as
what do you mean?
Like making an action.
Making an action. Okay. Yes, your name, please. Abdurrahim Sunsuma. Yes, when we talk of literature, what comes to mind?
The using of your imagination.
When you use your imagination.
Yes.
For what?
Like a work. It's a work of imagination.
Work of imagination. Okay. Example of anything you consider to be literature?
Prose.
Prose. What is it?
Story.
Prose is a story. So stories are is part of literature.
Yes, sir.
Fine. Yes. The next person. Your name, please.
Khalid Kator Nasiruddin.
Khalid Katori Nasuruddin. Okay. Yes.
So, literature is something written or spoken.
Something written or spoken. Example of anything you consider to be literature.
Say poem.
A poem.
Yes.
Okay. I think you fought right. Now let's ask this question again. Another question, sorry. Mention anything you know about literature. Anything at all, you know. When we say literature, you've tried giving what it means, right? But when we say literature, what do you know about it? What at all do you know about it? Yes. Well, either you have taken part in it, or you can tell how it's all about. Some basic things you know about literature. Yeah, let me start from Katori.
Please, what I know about literature is say the poems.
Speak up, please.
How the poems that like
The poem people recite or you recite.
say me or other people.
Okay, you have one poem. Give me a poem that you can recite or you have written. Either it is written by someone and you learnt it or you yourself composing it. Yes. Render that the poem, let's see. Sit down and then,
Say any poem.
Yes, a poem that you can just recite. Feel free. Any poem you have in mind that you can recite.
Say a lion has a tail.
Say it, Ellen.
A lion has a tail. It has a big head and a very small waist.
Is it a poem? It's a poem. Okay, that's what you are saying. Yes. Sung Suma. Okay, yes.
So, you know, some of the techniques of literature.
You know about techniques of literature.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
give us some of the techniques.
So like plot.
Okay. We are listening. Go ahead. You said you are mentioning plot.
Ca-
I didn't hear you.
Say characters.
Characters.
Yes.
Speak up, please.
Say
Okay, let's move on. Munira. Okay. Yes.
How we speak.
How we speak. So literature has a way it is spoken. Is that what you mean?
No. Anyhow you speak.
Speak up, please.
Anyhow you speak.
Example of what you are trying to say. Okay, if not, nothing in mind. Let's go to Muiz. I'm to Muiz, yes?
What comes in mind is the language you speak.
The language you speak is part of literature. So, example of any language that you are having in mind, you have in mind. Example of any language you have in mind.
Well,
Wali. Can you speak Wali?
yes.
Okay, so how do you say how are you in Wali?
Kidio.
Speak up, please.
Kidio.
Kedio. Okay. What of come to eat?
Kaidi.
Speak up.
Wakaidi.
Wakaidi. Okay. Let's move on. Then the next question is, what is your level of love for literature? To what extent do you love literature? At least you have an idea of what it is. You've been introduced to it in schools. Yes. You tell me to what level you love literature. Starting from Sun Sunma. Yes. Yeah, to what level? I don't expect any of you to hate it, to have any hatred towards it. No. You should have love. But to what extent do you love it? In percentage, will you say, oh, I have 10% love for it, 20%, 30, 50, 100? Yes.
Like 70%.
You love it 70%?
Yes,
okay. Yes, Munira?
50%.
50%. Muiz? 80. And then Katori?
70.
70. Okay. By the time we finish discussion, you will have 100% love for it. Okay, now let's go to what it means. When we say literature, what actually it means. You have tried. We say that the term literature has three main meanings. We are just trying to touch a bit of what it means for your level. So, but when we say literature, there are three things that it can mean. You understand that? Good. Anytime we say literature, it can be that it is referring to a branch of what? Language. A language like Wali, she mentioned. A language like English we are talking about. A language like Swahili. So any branch of language that we study. So literature can refer to a branch of language that is being what? Studied. So I kept in bracket example English. So we say literature when we are referring to a branch of a language like English, for example, that is being what? Studied. Good. Then we also say that literature can also mean any write-up on any issue. A write-up on any issue. Yeah. If you look to your left, right, your right, you'll see write-ups on the wall of the class. And if you look into the shelf, you see write-ups as well, like labels and the other thing. If you go home, pick any material at all you have, mostly products that are being sold. You see write-up. For example, as we are in the class here, the projector we are using, if you look at it, you'll see some write-ups on it. And then besides that, there are several things that people write about. When you pick sections, it can also refer to literature. Do you understand? So someone said anything written or what? Spoken. So you see that your written aspect you mentioned is being captured here. Then we also say that literature can also mean history of any group of people. The history of any group of human beings we have. It can be people in Africa. It can be people in America. It can be people in the Asian continent. It can be people in European continent. Do you get me? Then when you come to each of these continents, we have regions or sections. Then we have towns. Then we even have villages. So the history of any of these groupings that we have is also termed literature. So when we talk of literature, there are three things that we can actually be referring to. Then we say, but our concentration, however, is on the first one. The first one is what? Literature as a branch of what? Language for what? Study. We are not going to be interested in literature as history of group of people. No. We are not going to be interested in literature as a write-up. But we are going to be interested in literature as a what? Branch of language that we what? We study. So that is where we are going to concentrate on. Now let's look at that. Literature as a branch of language for what? Study, what it means. Do you get me? So, and that is what we do in schools. So mostly in schools, our attention is literature as a branch of language that is being what? Studied. So that is mostly our attention. That's what we are going to look at. We say that it is important to know that when we talk of a branch of language, we aren't specifically talking about the English what? Language. It's important. Here we say literature as what? Branch of language for study. We are not talking about the language English alone. No. So anytime literature is mentioned, don't be thinking of English. Not that alone. We said that we are referring to all forms of language, such as the African languages. Example of some of the African languages we have the Twi, we have Hausa, we have Swahili, we have Dagbani, we have Moar, and many. There are a lot of them. So when we talk of literature as a branch of language for study, it could be Twi, it could be Hausa, it could be Swahili, it could be Dagbani, and any language at all we have in Africa. Do you understand? Good. It could also be Asian languages like Arabic, Urdu, Hindi, and any other language you may know. So when we talk of a branch of language for study, it covers all forms of languages that you may know of. Then we're also saying that currently in Ghana and in many other countries that we have some time ago colonized by Britain, use the British English as its main language for communication in schools, hospitals, banks, and in law court. You know Ghana, we were colonized by Britain. Not only Ghana, there are other countries that Britain colonized, like Nigeria. So because of that, we use English language in schools. We use English language in hospitals. And we use English language to do any official activity at all. So because of this, there's a notion to say that when we talk of literature, it's probably mostly in English. But that is not the case at all. Do you get that? Good. So this is a complete misunderstanding, as it shall soon be noticed from the various set of lessons we will go through. So when we talk of English, let us not restrict our thinking to the fact that we are talking about English language. When we say literature, it's not only English language. It refers to all forms of other languages we have. Now, I say any work of imagination. We are now coming to offer some little bit of an explanation on literature as a branch of what language. Any work of imagination for entertainment, moral lesson, appreciation, and education is what? Literature. This could be originally what? Written, or originally what? Oral. In your attempt to explain what literature means, someone said work of what? Imagination. So any work of imagination at all, the purpose of which is for you to entertain, to demonstrate a moral lesson, or to educate people, we say it is what? Literature. So this could be in any language at all, as we have mentioned. Now, this could also be originally from the beginning of that imaginative work, it was written, or it wasn't written. It was just oral. Then we say written here means what? Documented down, like in books. Oral here means passed on from one generation to the other through what? Mouth. Then what we're also saying is that in an attempt to explain literature, the expression work of imagination is used, right? We say it's a work of what? Imagination. So something you sat down to what? To imagine. But that does not mean that all times literature is not true or has nothing truth in it. No. For the fact that we say it is a work of imagination doesn't mean that anytime we say literature, it means everything that is just completely imagination and there's no truth in it. No, it doesn't mean so. Right? Good. So we need to have this in mind. So do not bother yourself much on literature being true or not. We shall soon come to understand that expression, that is work of imagination, what exactly it means. We say that the following brochures, books, and clips are examples of literature that are going to be displayed on your screen. So we should listen to those clips attentively, and also in our next lesson, we shall ask ourselves questions on that. So we spend time, look at the various brochures and books that shall be shown us, and the clips as well. They are all examples of literature we have. In our next lesson, we will ask questions based on those things. In summary, these are the things we looked at. We look at the various aspects of English at junior high school. We reminded ourselves of the various aspects. We mentioned grammar and others. Then we also say that there are three different meanings to what? Literature. Literature as a branch of language for study. Then literature as history of group of people, and literature as any writer at all we have. Then we display some branches. We said we gave an explanation on literature as a branch of language for study. Okay. And then we gave out examples of work of literature that was shown on the screen.
Adano juada se inso beto amame bianom ose watia miarama ponchimpo mepe aponchimpo no biare meyere mpo na mefre no ose wombu wa me konkrampo na mefre no ose wombu wa me meyere mpo na mefre no ose wombu wa me konkrampo na mefre no ose wombu wa me.
Class, let's take a look at the VT that is being shown on the screen.
Hey God, hey, I saw her. I saw her wide and clear. I'm afraid to face the world, afraid to face her, my best friend, because this is nearly my end. Listen, we were both in high school together and very cool. There's a best of a feather flocked together, but we're different and yet meager. Now life has paid me back in a coin I asked for. To be a woman, some say, started by 25, but I was different. At age 15, I had everything that made me see by every male band, moving out with men. Old enough to be my father was a daily meal, parties attend and my permanent is. And each time, I feel so curious, naive, stupid, that they always took advantage of me. I had a gut and joined some group. This group showed me to occultism. At first, I was afraid, scared and hunted, but I got through. They introduced me to drugs, and I loved it because it made me forget about school. And I told them I was afraid to abort a baby again. They said I could push something in without the fear of pregnancy. They introduced me to lesbianism. Occultism, huh? They made me kill my daddy. The very daddy who I love even through my stupidity. That was his duty. By the time I came back to my senses and I knew I needed a grade, I gave myself to my teacher. He impregnated me, and out of shame, I left school. I'm pathetic, with protruding stomach, no drug to calm my nerve, no place to call a home, and never working hard. I've turned up on the street now like a mad woman. Now, as I sit back in tears, no one should tell how I've regretted, how I wish I could turn back time, make things right, but time, oh time. After all the unheeded advices, all I can shout is, oh, what a wasted life it has been. Thank you.
Viewers, we are grateful for your time with us. We're hoping to meet you once again in our next lesson on literature. Until then, remember, English language for junior high school is only on MTA Africa. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam.